Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today in this video I would like to read an article entitled Workers' Compensation, what it is, how it works, and who pays. What is workers' compensations? Worker compensations, commonly referred to as worker comp, is a government mandate program that provides benefits to workers who become injured or ill in the job or as a result of the job. It is effectively a disability insurance program for workers, providing cash benefits, healthcare benefits, or both to workers who suffer injury or illness as a direct result of their job. In the US, workers' compensation is handled primarily by the individual states that require benefits vary greatly state by state. Texas is the only state that does not require employers to maintain workers' compensation insurance. Key takeaways: Worker compensation is a form of employer's insurance coverage that pays benefit to workers who are injured or become disabled as a result of their job. By accepting workers' compensation benefits, the employee waives the right to sue their employer for damages. The compensation may include partial salary repayment and coverage of medical costs. Workers' comp is not the same as unemployment benefits of disability insurance. Understanding workers' compensation. Workers' compensation benefits may include partial wage replacement for the period during which the employee cannot work. The benefits may also include reimbursement for healthcare services and occupational therapy. Most workers' compensation programs are paid for by private insurers from premiums paid by the individual employers. Each state has a workers' compensation board, a state agency that oversees the program and intervenes in disputes. There are federal workers' compensation programs that cover federal employees, longshore and harbor workers, and energy employees. Another federal programs, the Black Lung programs, handle death and disability benefit for coal miners and their dependents. Workers' compensation benefits. Requirements for workers' compensation vary from state to state, and not all employees are covered in some states. Some states, for example, exclude small business from the mandate for coverage. Others have different requirements for various industries. The National Federation of Independent Business and FIB maintains a summary of each state worker compensation requirement. Salary replacement. The salary replacement paid an employee under workers' compensation is typically less than the person's full salary. The most generous program pays about 2/3 of a person's gross salary. Workers' compensation benefits are not usually taxable at the state or federal levels, compensating for much of the lost income. Taxes may be due to recipients who also have income from the Social Security Disability or Supplemental Security Income programs. Healthcare cost reimbursement and survivor benefits. Most compensation plans offer coverage of medical expenses only related to injuries incurred as a direct result of employment. For example, a construction worker could claim compensations for an injury suffered in a fall from scaffolding, but not for an injury incurred while driving to the job site. In other situations, workers can receive the equivalent of sick pay while they are on medical leave. If an employee dies as a result of a work-related incident, workers' compensation makes payment to the worker's dependents. Recipients waive the right to sue. By agreeing to receive workers' compensation, workers give up their right to sue their employers for negligence. This compensation bargain is intended to protect both workers and employers. Workers are giving up further recourse in exchange for guaranteeing compensation, while employers consent to a degree of liability while avoiding the potentially greater cost and negligence lawsuit. This compensation bargain is intended to protect both workers and employers. Workers are giving up further recourse in exchange for guaranteed compensation, while employers consent to a degree of liability while avoiding the potentially greater cost of a negligent lawsuit. Workers' compensation is available only to employees who are injured on the job. It is not the same as disability insurance or unemployment benefits. Special consideration: a claim for workers' compensation may be disputed for an employer. In that case, the Workers' Compensation Court may be asked to resolve this dispute. Dispute can arise over whether the employer is actually liable for an injury or illness. Workers' compensation payments are also susceptible to insurance fraud. An employee may falsely report that an injury was sustained on the job, exaggerate the severity of an injury, or invert one. In fact, the National Insurance Crime Board asserts that there are organized criminal conspiracies of corrupt physicians, attorneys, and patients who submit false claims to medical insurance companies for workers' compensation and other benefits. The independent contractor exception. In most states, only regular employees are eligible for workers' compensation, not independent contractors. That was one of the main points of contention in the debate over a California ballot measures that sought to extend employee benefits to drivers for ride-sharing apps like Uber and Lyft. Like the so-called gig economy, the issue of workers' compensations and other benefits for contract workers is not going away in 2020. About 17 million Americans were working full-time as contractors and more than 34 million work part-time or occasionally as contractors. Access to workers' compensation benefit is a key issue for participants in the gig economy. Contractors and freelancers are rarely eligible. Types of workers' compensation. In the U.S., worker compensation rules are handled by the individual state. The U.S. Department of Labor houses an Office of Workers' Compensation Program, but it is responsible only for coverage of federal employees, longshoremen and harbor workers, energy employees, and coal miners. The lack of federal standard for workers' compensations has resulted in extremely varied policy for the same kind of injuries from state to state. Identical injuries can receive radically different kind of compensation depending on where a worker resides. A paper by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration flatly calls workers' compensations a broken system and estimates that 50% of the costs of workplace injury and illness are borne by the individuals who suffered them. Low-wage and immigrant workers often don't even apply for benefits. Worker compensations coverage A versus coverage B. There are two types of workers' compensations coverage called coverage A and B. Coverage A includes all the state-mandated benefits that an injured or ill employee is entitled to receive from the employer insurance. It covers salary replacement payments as well as medical care, rehabilitation, and death benefit as necessary. All of the states except Texas have such benefits, although they vary widely from state to state, and many states exclude some employees from eligibility. So that's all the article. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and also don't forget to watch the next video. Bye bye.